Good evening. The time is 6:10 and we are going to begin our April 1st, 2025 Brooklyn Borough Board meeting. Ms. Church, can you please call the roll?
Good evening, everyone.
Good morning. Good person.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, everyone. And again, welcome to the Brooklyn Borough Board meeting of Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. And I am Carolyn Church, Director of Community Boards, under the leadership of our Borough President, Antonio Reynoso. And I will do the roll call, starting with community boards. If you're not the chairperson, please give your name. Community Board 1. Thank you. Community Board 2. Community Board 3. Community Board 4. Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 10. Thank you. Community Board 11. Community Board 12. Community Board 13. Community Board 14. Community Board 15. Community Board 16. Community Board 17. Community Board 18. Starting with the council members on the other side. District 33, Wrestler. Thank you. District 34, Gutierrez. District 35, Hudson. District 36, Osei. District 37, Nurse. District 38, Aviles. Last name, Christina? District 39, Hanif. District 40, Joseph. District 41, Mealy. District 42, Banks. District 43, Zwang. District 44, well, there's no member there. District 45, Louis. District 46, Narcisse. District 47, Brennan. District 48, Bernikov. District 50, Carr. For our president's office, represented here at the table.
We have a quorum. Thank you. For the record, Jenny Hernandez from CB13 is also present. And we have someone who just walked in. Can you state your name for the record? Muhammad. And you're from CB5, correct? Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to agenda item 2 for the approval of the agenda. Do we have any objections to the approval of the agenda? Thank you. Seeing no objections, we will Approved by consensus. Moving on to approval of the March 4th, 2025 minutes. Do we have a motion? Any other corrections to the March 4th, 2025 minutes? We received a correction via email as well for CD13 attendance that will be corrected. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? The minutes have been approved for the March 4th, 2025 meeting. Now ask Ms. Church to give any Borough Hall member updates, and then we can also give the mic to any Borough Board members for updates.
Okay, big thing in our agenda is our state of the borough is days away. April 10th at Boys and Girls High School, 1700 Fulton Street. Please RSVP. It is a celebration of the work that we've been doing here. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. The borough president is sponsoring a workshop on estate planning and protecting property. It's to teach our communities about putting our properties in trust, dangers of deed theft and how to prevent it. As we all know, deed theft is a prevalent scourge in our communities throughout Brooklyn. And that will be tomorrow, April 2nd at Medgar Evers College, 1637 Bedford Avenue. Yeah. Actually, it's a two-part. I had one. Part 2 will be April 22nd, right here at Brooklyn Borough Hall at from 12 to 6:30. The part 1 tomorrow, April 2nd, Medgar Evers College, 6 to 8 p.m. And part 2 here on Tuesday, April 22nd. The tax prep is entering its last couple of days here at Borough Hall. It's free. Folks just need to call in and make an appointment, and you can have your taxes done for free. Single person, $65,000. Single filer, $65,000. Yeah, filing jointly, $95,000. There's a tree I'll get that for you.
Later this month, we have a sustainability fair. It's a 2-day event at the end of April. I believe it's April 28th and April 29th, but we will be sending out the notice next week. And we're doing that in part with Lincoln Wrestler's office, and it is going to be a great event. So we have a fair the first day, and then we have like a panel and a resource event the next day. But we will be sending that correspondence out next week.
There's a whole community section.
And Ms. Church tells me that there's a whole community board section for our sustainability event in the panel. So happy about that as well. Do we have any Borough Board member updates? That's it for Borough Hall, but we're opening it up to the floor for any members who have updates. Chair Baptiste and then Chair Camacho. Okay, let's do it in the reverse. Chair Baptiste.
I don't have an update. I just wanted to see if you guys have any union contract with DC 37 with our staff, because we wanted to get some clarification in regards to their work hours and paying overtime or meal time that they accrue after they work the excess amount of hours. I'm not too sure. This is the first time I heard of it. I know that there were several boards that were concerned about that, and I had gotten my employees. So I don't know if there's a contract that you guys fill out, or how is it that we can find out if it's true that they are getting anything past their hourly rate that they get. There should be a 8.25. That's what I was told, meal. So I want to make sure that I am compliant and making sure that we do our due diligence with our employees. So is there, yes, no, maybe so, if we can receive a copy of that, or I don't know who we can inquire that, or because our staff are a union, I think they're DC 37, if I'm not mistaken. But the manager is a district manager is in the board. So I wanted to know if it's true or not true, and how can I go upon, trying to save my budget and trying to save a couple of dollars here and there.
So we can talk about that offline. Short answer is yes, there is a collective bargaining agreement, and yes, there is an economic agreement, which was more recent. But that is separate and apart from, so I will have HR director contact you specifically, and I can also jump on those calls to talk the citywide bargaining agreement. But you are right, there is a contract that governs those terms. Chair Baptiste? Please check your mic. Did it die? You have mine. There it is.
Hello? Ooh, the vocal quality is so much better. No, thank you very much. I just wanted to note, last month we had discussed the Downstate Community Advisory Board. So they had their meeting last month, but the governor actually extended their deadline for another 60 days. So they will be continuing to take testimony. I believe they're trying to schedule at least one, hopefully two hearings. I would like to thank all those who supported and sent testimony, but we still would like to have more support. It's critical that we support Downstate as part of our Brooklyn Health Network. We need to make sure that the appropriate resources are here so that way people don't have to cross rivers to get a level of health care in Brooklyn. So I would look for everyone to support that as much as possible. Secondly, I just wanted to also just make a quick note about tax liens. I know somebody from Borough Hall had approached me about that at the last meeting, and I'm very thankful for that as well. We were at CB9, were able to get the Department of Finance to come and do some tabling to help people with that. It's very critical that we make sure we do the outreach, as much outreach as we can in terms of from Borough Hall's perspective. Thank you for everything you've done, and from as community boards. We don't want to see people lose their houses over water bills or a couple $1,000s in taxes that have been arrears for whatever reasons. So there are definitely, I want to thank the number of partners that have been out there as well in terms of doing that. The only one caution we say is that as we're doing that outreach, be careful with deed theft as well. We've had another number of conversations that is a concern, that we want to make sure people are not victimized as part of that, where it's like, because of that, we don't want somebody trying to swoop in and say, I'm going to save your house. And then all of a sudden you realize your house is no longer yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other member updates? Chairperson Norman.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I know I spoke to you guys last month about the cannabis shop survey. I made copies this time so that everybody can have the copies, and also visit our YouTube page, which is CB5-ENY. Any meetings that we have, our committee meetings, they're all on YouTube channel. Okay. Thank you.
Any other?
I'm going to put this in the back.
Jenny. Hernandez, sorry. I was going to say Rivera.
Yes, just wanted to mention, if anyone wants to come down and enjoy the Day of the Blessing of the Rights in Coney Island on Palm Sunday at 10 a.m., this would be on April 13th. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a few members who walked in. We have Stanley Ng from Councilmember Zwing's office, Chairperson Witherspoon, and thank you, Victoria Peters from Councilmember Gutierrez's office. Do we have any other member updates? I'm sorry?
District 36, I think. Go ahead.
April 22nd from 5 to 8 at 1368 Fulton Street. That's Restoration Plaza. Councilmember Osei will be hosting the Department of Finance workshop to help people with the tax lien sales that's going on. So April 22nd from 5 to 8, Restoration Plaza, that's 1368 Fulton Street.
Thank you. Any other updates that I missed? Okay, seeing none, moving on to unfinished business. We have none on the agenda. Are there any from our members? Seeing none, moving on to our communications and reports. Would you like to introduce the presenters? Please.
We have with us this evening, we have with us this evening, principals from a project called FloodNet. What they're doing is looking at urban flood monitoring in New York City. It is a project with a university and the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. So I'd like to call on Polly Perrion. I hope I didn't remember your name. Brett Branco from Brooklyn College and Haley Elvas to do the presentation.
All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Branco. I'm from Brooklyn College. I direct something called the Science and Resilience Institute at Jamaica Bay, which is a community-wide institute. And I'm one of the principal investigators of a project called FloodNet, which we're going to present to you today. But first, I'll let my colleague Polly introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Polly Peroni. I'm the project manager for FloodNet NYC, based out of Science and Resilience Institute of Jamaica Bay at Brooklyn College.
And I just want to acknowledge our colleague, Haley, who's from the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. And we'll explain the relationship there in a second. Yeah, so anyone here of FloodNet? Anyone that's here of the project FloodNet? I see one head nod. Okay, great. Then we'll be presenting to a new audience. So trying to advance the slides. Yeah, so we're just going to provide a brief introduction to the project, give you an overview, talk about the sensors. We're at the heart of our project, talk about the different data sharing tools that we have that are publicly available. And then we're going to talk about our community engagement work around urban flooding and the data around it. Next slide, please. So the mission of FloodNet NYC, I should actually say first that it is a collaboration between different universities. So City University of New York, Brooklyn College, and the Advanced Science and Research Center. Also NYU, the Tandon School, which is just a few blocks from here. The Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, the Mayor's Office of Technology and Innovation is a big partner. And though we've had funding over the years from different sources, the project is primarily funded right now by the Department of Environmental Protection. And we're doing, we'll explain what the scope of that project in a second. But basically what we're doing as a team is developing tools for real-time urban flood monitoring. So people can access data about flooding that's happening on their streets as it's happening. We implement these tools to measure flooding in New York City. And we try to make these data and monitoring tools accessible, so again, publicly available and useful to stakeholders, including residents, community-based organizations, government agencies, and researchers. Next slide. I think I already said this, right? So this is the team that's behind FloodNet. So I'm gonna, next slide, please. I'm gonna turn it over to Polly to explain a lot about the technology side of the project and the sensors, and I'll come back on and talk about some of the community engagement that we're doing. Paul?
Thank you, Brett. So this, just to sort of start us off, this is a photo of what our sensors, which are one of the technologies at the core of our project, look like in the field. So we mount them to drive rails, which can be parking signs, stop signs, etc. And all of our sensors have signage, like the signage you see here on the right, that explains a little bit about what that sensor is, what it's doing, and it actually now also has a QR code that'll take folks to our website to learn more. Next slide. So this map illustrates where we have sensors like that one you just saw all across the city. We have 265 locations as of today, distributed across the 5 boroughs. The network is meant to grow to 500 sensors by the middle of 2027. And there's a link there, which you can also access through our website to visit this data dashboard. So in addition to showing where the sensors are, the map also shows readings at each of those sensors, meaning that during a flood event, you can look at the map and understand how many inches of water due to flooding there are on the ground at each of those locations. Next slide. Yes, so 72 of those sensors are in Brooklyn right now. I know that it's probably not super easy to see the map, but they're fairly well distributed across the borough. We have some installs coming up in Bay Ridge, Cypress Hills, as well as Bed-Stuy and North Brooklyn a little bit further down the line. And yes, next slide. Okay, so here is an example of what the data dashboard looks like when a stormwater flood is taking place. So these images are from September 29th, 2023, which some of you might remember. It was the remnants of a storm called Ophelia, and it hit the city pretty hard. We were able to measure flooding on 26 of the sensors we had, and we had a smaller sensor network at that time. And so that's the sort of alerting circles on the map illustrate those measurements. The deepest flood we recorded was in Gowanus, where there were 36 inches of water directly underneath our sensor, because our sensors measure distance. They're not cameras. They measure the distance from the sensor to the ground, and when water comes up, they're measuring the distance from the sensor to the surface of that water. So yes, that flood came up very rapidly. I think actually the next slide has a screenshot of that data. So to just zoom in a little bit more, I think you can see from looking a bit more closely that it rose and fell over the course of just a few hours. The teal bars are precipitation. All of this can be viewed on the dashboard. When you actually click on one of those sensor icons, you can look at what the data from our sensor looks like. And then that dark blue line is our sensor reading. So just to zoom in a little bit more and understand the specifics of what was happening, there were lots of photos on social media of flooding at this intersection and other ones as well, but FloodNet gives kind of a quantitative counterpart to those images. Next slide. And then this is another graph showing data from a few more of our sensors, some of which are in Red Hook. There's one at Smith and 9th Street, another one, I think, near that Carroll Street and 4th Avenue location. But again, the deepest, was that 3-foot flood. Next slide. We also, during that event, measured flooding at several sensors in South Williamsburg. We have a set of sensors that are all within a few blocks of each other. And so we were able to kind of look at which intersections were hit worst. And again, how long the drainage took, how long water was sitting in the street, those sorts of things. I think the max depth here was a little bit over 20 inches. It's a little hard to see, but yeah, 23. Next slide. So something we can talk about a little bit more at the end of the slideshow is we're always trying to help to make our data and our tools more accessible and more useful to our stakeholder groups. New York City agencies and community boards are one of those core stakeholder groups. I'm going to talk a little bit more about various products we've created to help folks interpret the data and use it for advocacy, for better understanding conditions in your neighborhood, et cetera. But we would love to get feedback both on how our data can be more useful and also any other tools or data sets that help you and your community understand flooding and how it's impacting the city. Next slide, we can come back to these questions. Right, so like I said, that public facing data dashboard that we were showing screenshots of is available through our website. We also have a set of other tools. We have what are called neighborhood reports. Brett is going to speak more about those in a later slide. You can download FloodNet data in CSVs. Right now, you can do that by reaching out to us if you want to make your own graphs and do your own analysis of things. Soon, we will also be up on New York City open data. We're working to get that pipeline set up. We have an alerting tool right now, which sends email alerts to folks who work for New York City agencies. I'll talk more about that in another slide, and a couple of other ways that those agencies ingest and work with our data. We have examples. We have a relationship with New York City Emergency Management. Again, DEP funds the project, and they have already started using this data to help both during emergencies and also thinking about infrastructure projects, things like that. So continuing to make it useful to them. Next slide. You can click through these bullet points. Feel free to just, I think there are 3 bullet points. Yes, so again, those flood alerts, right now, it's kind of in a beta, like a test version, so it's not publicly available yet. Part of the reason for that is because we alert across the whole sensor network, which most people don't find particularly useful unless you do work for a New York City agency. We've also been continuing to develop a tool that can reliably recognize a flood event as compared with other things, signals that our sensors sometimes pick up, again, because they measure depth. We can deal with anomalous measurements and people pass under them, people place things under them, et cetera. But that alerting system, we hope to make publicly available in the coming months as it is improved. Next slide. I'll pass back to Brett.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the products that we have and some of the work that we do with communities. One of the important things about FloodNet is it initiated really by working with communities first. Even though the DEP is funding it currently, this project emerged from working directly with communities that were suffering from flooding. So we're trying to develop a lot of products that communities have requested. So for example, some community members have told us that they would love to be able to have 1-pagers or 2-pagers that they can print out and bring to meetings with agency officials or with elected officials so that they can talk about the flooding problems that they have using data that we collect and that they collect, et cetera. So we developed these neighborhood flood reports in collaboration with an organization called New York Sea Grant. They're updated every 6 months. You can print them off right from a website. We can help you understand the information that's in there so that you can then bring it and do, talk about, go in and argue for infrastructure projects or try to make sure that people understand exactly what's happening in your community, et cetera. So that's one product that we've developed with community members. Next slide, please. This is just an example of what the community flood report looks like for Williamsburg Greenpoint. So we have 311 data on there. We have community submitted photographs of different flooding events. We have information from our flood sensors, all consolidated into one report. Again, that can just kind of summarize on the issues in a particular neighborhood. Next slide, please. Community engagement is central to what we do because we're generating data and we want to make sure that community members and community organizations can access those data and understand those data and make use of them. So we have a variety of ways that we do that. We have educational materials. We go to lots of different community events. We hold workshops. We hold educational sessions, all in partnership with communities. And we also have a lot of the materials that we've created, a lot of the informational materials translated into Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, French, et cetera, et cetera. That was done with the help of the mayor's office, which we appreciate. And we're always finding that we need to translate our stuff into even more languages as we start working with different communities. Next slide, please. So, so right now, we consider community organizations as partners in this project. So right now, there's 50 organizations across the city which we consider partners. And by partners, we mean that these organizations have supported, that we have worked with them to host, plan, and facilitate outreach events around flooding and the flood sensor data, where they've helped us locate installation locations for sensors or help facilitate installation. And those are important because there are opportunities to do a lot of information exchange. We learn more about the communities that we're trying to help, and they learn more about the data that we're generating. And on the right of this slide, we just have a list of the partners in Brooklyn. So we have partners across all 5 boroughs, but these are the organizations that we've worked directly with in the borough of Brooklyn over the last 2 years, really. Next slide, please. We learn a lot in these conversations with stakeholders, and because we work with the communities and we work with the city and we work with agencies, we work with researchers, sometimes we're able to help facilitate the exchange of that information, right? We can bring community knowledge to our meetings with the city, and we can bring information about the city sometimes to our meetings with community organizations. So we've learned a lot about what communities need, what their concerns are, et cetera, and we try to take that into account as our project matures. Next slide, please. One of the things also that some of the communities wanted was they wanted us to help them develop, or they wanted to work with us to develop a little one-page profiles. This is different than the data neighborhood profiles I showed earlier. This one is just really just a brief one-page description of the community done with communities, and also kind of highlights their flooding issues and which kinds of flooding issues are most impactful in their communities. Is it rainfall? Is it high tide flooding? Is it storm flooding, et cetera? So I think we have a lot of these done. We have, for example, Canarsie. We have a bunch of profiles for a bunch of different neighborhoods. And like I said, we do this with community organizations. Next one, please. We found out that people wanted information. A lot of people who experience frequent flooding oftentimes may experience may need some support, right? Some support for that. It's hard to process, right? So it can be traumatic, et cetera. So we worked with Regional Ready Rockaway to develop a fact sheet about mental wellness and flooding and resources that people can access, right? So that was just a nice sort of like outcome of our work engaging with communities. We find out what they want, and then we try to co-produce those things for them. So we distribute these at our outreach events, et cetera. Next one. And then we also have education modules, right? So we've co-hosted with community organizations a series of 3 modules to help communities understand what the sensors are, what they're measuring, how to read the data, and then what they can do with the data. So we have a module called Community Voice, a data and storytelling, and then a sensors and sensing, right? So we lead communities through understanding the dashboards, right? We showed you some of our dashboards. So we help them understand how to read the dashboards and then connect those readings with flooding that's happened in their neighborhoods, and then tell a story about that so that they can communicate the impact, of the flooding when they're at public meetings and things like that. So, yeah, so that's an important resource that we have as our community engagement. Next one, please. Yeah, actually, I think we already covered this one, and then the next one. Yeah. And then finally, we're trying to get 500 sensors installed. Maybe the city needs 1,000. We don't know, right? But we're going to get to 500 in the next 2 years. And where to put those things is actually more complicated than you might think. And so we try to take in information from a bunch of different sources, right? City agencies have ideas on where the sensors should be. Some of our research colleagues want sensors to help them with their models and their forecasting. But we get a lot of suggestions from community members and residents who know best where the sensors need to go to be able to detect the most impactful flooding. So that QR code right there, if you hit that with your phone, it brings you to a sheet where you can input a suggestion about where you think a sensor in your neighborhood should be. And we have well over 1,000 suggestions so far. And we sometimes we see the same location suggested, many times, and that lets us know that that's a really important place, right? Maybe we need to prioritize that location, right? Making a sensor suggesting a location doesn't automatically mean a sensor is going to appear there next week. It's taken us 2 years to get 270 put up, so it takes time, and we have to plan and do some scouting, et cetera. But we do take all the suggestions seriously and try to figure out how to install these equitably. So we want to make sure that they're distributed across the boroughs, that they're in neighborhoods that really need them, that don't often get resources like this, and where they're going to be the most useful to people that experience flooding. And then the next slide. So that's our presentation. This is a list of all the people that are involved in the project. You can feel free to email us anytime, or you can just email our general email address, which is info@floodnet.nyc. And that will go to basically all of us. So thank you. And I don't know if there's questions as part of these presentations, but if there are, happy to take some. Oh, there's lots.
Right.
Mr. Mohammed first, then Stanley, then Baptiste, then Caesar.
Hello? Yes, thank you very much for that presentation. I'm here, Community Board 5, that there's so much that I can see this can be utilized for. One of the things we've been inundated with a lot of this affordable housing building, these tall buildings. We suffer greatly. I'm a homeowner. I've seen my insurance, some insurance companies won't even cover me because of flood. I think we need this. I'm also very concerned that this should be a tool used in the ULIP process before they okay these buildings that are being built that are flooding. We've had people killed in Community Board 5 in basement flooding. I think this tool needs to be incorporated as part of the ULIP process before any buildings can be built, and especially in areas that are very vulnerable. I think that I would like Community Board 5 to join on to become a member of that, and I would like to stay in touch with you. Also, I believe that this should be reviewed as part of the process that's happening. A lot of my homeowners here that we're losing insurance coverage because of the lack of proper drainage, as well as living in a flood zone. So again, this is very good, and I'm looking forward to partnering with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, how you doing? I represent Council Member Susan Swan down in South Brooklyn, Bath Avenue, Bensonhurst, according to your map. So in looking at your data and what I see here on the website, I just want to piggyback on what he's saying. So in your terms, great gathering data, but it's your next step? Is it how you're going to do the correlation and the causation on some of these flooding? Because it could be from a blocked sewer, too small, because what he was saying was that this has to be part of the process. Now, right now, we got a couple of projects coming up, well, a couple of hundred apartments. And the thing is that we don't know how bad things are going to be. So this is a great first step, but again, the word is causation, correlation, okay? That's your language.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And one thing I think we didn't mention is that we collect, in addition to the flood depths, right? We also collect the rainfall data, and we access tide data so that we can start to look at, right? We can start to look at the causation issue, but there's a lot of work to be done in that area, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Mr. Ing?
Mhm.
And some of that DEP can tell by looking at the profile of the flood. You can see if it's not draining, if the water profile doesn't go down. So then, they know there's a clogged catch basin, and that helps inform how they distribute resources. I also just wanted to say, the Charter Revision Commission is going on right now, and, they're having different times of public comment, and part of that commission is looking at revisions to the UAlert process. So make sure to plug in there.
Can you state your name for the record?
Haley Elsas.
Thank you. And I just want to remind Borough Board members, please wait for the mic because the recording won't catch your comments. Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I guess two quick questions. First, are you available or do you have a team that will actually do this for community boards directly? If we ask really nicely to do it.
Yeah. Oh, do you mean presentations?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't sure what you.
Yeah.
And then the second question I have is, I saw that you put up a QR code if you wanted to put a suggestion. Could you just give us a brief overview? Like, what is the profile of a place that typically you would put one in? Are you looking for something that's low lying? Are you looking for something that we know historically floods so that we can capture data? Or, what kind of places are best suited for the sensors to be placed?
Polly's done a lot of work on that, so I'll let her explain, but I just want to preface that by saying that when we first took on this project, we thought it would be pretty easy to figure out where to put 500 sensors, and it actually turns out to be a lot more complicated than you might think for a variety of reasons. But Polly can talk a little bit about some of the things that we take into account.
Yes. So as Brett mentioned, we have around 1,000 suggestions, which have come from residents and city agencies and research partners. That data set, particularly on the city agency side, incorporates various flood maps. The New York City stormwater flood maps, if folks are familiar, are kind of built into some of those city agency suggestions. So those also have informed where we've placed sensors, but we really value like requests, basically, like information that we get from people about where they've observed flooding, especially because stormwater flooding is so spread across the city and can be a bit hard to hone in on. We have, somewhat of an understanding of the drainage system, but the insight from folks about where they've actually seen it in their community is really useful. Yeah.
And, as you can imagine, sometimes we hear from community boards or borough presidents that want all the sensors in there. Let's put 500 in this neighborhood. But again, we're trying to make sure that they're distributed, throughout the city. So we're trying to find, the places that people are most vulnerable to flooding, or places that just have some, some other value to it. But again, trying to distribute them, right? So our teams are all over the city, getting them up.
Chairperson Caesar.
Thank you. So thank you so much for this presentation. Very informative. I have a few quick questions. So the first one is how people can access this website. Is this something that they can access via their phone and I guess their laptop, or is it really it's only their laptop or personal computer they should be able to access it? That's my first question.
Our website is mobile accessible. The dashboard is also accessible on phones. The experience could be better. It's something we're working to improve.
Got you.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So that leads exactly to my second question then regarding accessibility. And by accessibility, I mean like the WCAG guidelines. And so for people with low vision or the things where you have like the HTML tags, is that something that's coming down the line as well too?
Yes. Again, it's in place for our website itself.
Okay.
I think the dashboard should be pretty accessible too, because it's a dashboard that's used by like a lot of different projects, but it's worth checking in with them. And yeah, that's a good question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then the other question I have as well too is with all the partners that you have working here, is there any danger that federal funding that you may no longer receive would jeopardize this if there is any federal funding involved in this project at all?
No, all the funding has come from our universities. In the beginning, we've had some state funding to help develop the dashboard. And then the bulk of the funding right now to put the sensors up and improve the data side of things is all city funding.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Chairperson Bucer, and then Ms. Espinal.
Thank you for the presentation. CB3 Breakfast Stuyvesant, I'm curious, you said there are 72 across the borough, and then it's going to roll out in the coming years in North Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy. Just curious if there are any in Bed-Stuy right now, and when you do installation, how many do you anticipate installing?
Yeah, I can't tell you off the, we don't have Bed-Stuy yet. We have Bushwick and Flatbush. We sort of have gone around it and not gotten there, but we do have a good set of suggestions. I can't really give a clear number right now without looking at our like sensor suggestion database, but if you reach out to the FloodNet project, we can certainly present and give more information about our plans for Bed-Stuy.
Ms. Espinal, and then Chairperson Lohman.
Hi, thank you for being here. I'm Rosemary from the Community Board 1. My question is, how are these sensors powered? Do they work with electricity or digitally, or
Yeah.
and do they break?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we didn't really talk specifically about the technology, but we have some really, really good engineers that are working on the devices themselves, and they've done a lot of creative things. So first of all, we've gotten the cost per sensor down to something on $240, $250. So that's relatively cheap for, it's mostly off-the-shelf parts. They've done a lot to optimize power consumption, and so they just run on an internal battery that's recharged by solar panels. So they're completely independent of the city's electricity grid or the power grid. And then the data themselves are transmitted through mobile cards that are, or cellular cards that are integrated into the device. So earlier versions of it, we were using different like radio transmissions to devices that were high points, high buildings. But now we've gone to basically a mobile network. So it's completely independent of any wiring, right? We can, they're independent. And then in terms of they're pretty reliable. Some of the ones we've had have been working continuously for a few years. Sometimes there's some maintenance. Sometimes people vandalize them. Unfortunately, they look like cameras, even though they are not. And I think that a lot of our outreach is trying to explain to people that these are not cameras. But yeah, they've been vandalized. Sometimes, water will leak into one or that kind of thing. But our team can monitor them in real time, and they know what sensors are down and somewhat what the cause is, and then they can plan some maintenance. So they're reliable. There's no moving parts, and they're independent of any sort of like infrastructure.
Also, one more question. Is this technology being used anywhere else, or is this unique to New York City?
Yeah. So some of our earlier sensor designs are actually available publicly on GitHub. And what we've learned is that a lot of universities from around the country are downloading those plans and then building their own sensors. They look just like ours, and then installing them. We just found out today about a group down in Florida, Georgia, Brazil, Puerto Rico. There's a bunch of, London wants them. So, but we're kind of singularly focused ourselves on getting them up in New York City, but the technology and what we're doing is spreading around the country and even getting inquiries from overseas. So, but it started here.
Started here. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to offer a correction that we do have one sensor in Bed-Stuy at Marion Street and Howard Avenue, and to keep an eye out for more coming soon. Sorry?
Sorry. There's also one just inside the border of Bed-Stuy outside of Williamsburg.
That's right.
You have two.
As my colleague said, thank you for the presentation. I'm in CB5. We have like Starrett City, East New York, some parts of Brownsville. We have a lot of flooding areas, like the Jewel Street. That's a big one. Have you guys been over there? Are you putting any sensors in that area? And I would love to have you come and do a presentation at my community board.
I think they're scrolling through to see what we have installed already, perhaps in that area. But I can say, you know, from the Science Resilience Institute perspective, all this work started around Jamaica Bay. And so those neighborhoods we're very familiar with them and the flooding that they experience, you know, the sunny day flooding when it's a full moon. Yeah, we're very, very familiar with that. And but I think they're checking now to see what we might have near Starrett City. Yeah.
I know, yeah, we've had the Jewel Streets requested many times. I'm having trouble like honing in specifically on this map right now. There are some logistical challenges there, which just means that the installs will be more complex, but it's very clear that that neighborhood is an important neighborhood for monitoring. So yeah.
We have a few in East New York and Brownsville and New Lots as well in the surrounding area. So.
Good evening. I'm Jenny Hernandez from CB13. As I noticed on your map, there are sensors located in Coney Island, although I've never personally witnessed them. About how many sensors are in Coney Island and Brighton Beach?
Okay, there are 5 in Coney Island and 2 in Brighton Beach, 1 in Manhattan Beach, so right next door.
And second, we live near an ocean. We live near an ocean on one side, a creek on the other side. We live in a flood zone area and are subject to storm surges. Do you take sea level rise into consideration?
The sensors pick up water no matter what the source of the water is. So if a storm surge were to happen, the sensors would pick up wherever there's sitting water at the pedestrian level on the street.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, would you be able to forward this presentation to our community board or team?
Yes, absolutely. And we'd be happy to come visit any community board meeting. Again, actually, one of the email addresses up there, which if you get the presentation, you'll have all of these, but Veronique Ignace is our community engagement coordinator, and she typically coordinates all of that. But we'd love to come and talk about this with people because we want them to be able to access and understand the data. So the more people that can do that, the better this network, or the more important this network is, the more useful it is, I should say.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We have Chairperson Witherspoon and then Chairperson Scalo.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. At this time, are we able to check for locations ourselves to see if these sensors are
Yes.
where they are? Okay.
Yes, so that's the data dashboard is where the sensor map is located. Yeah, it's, I forget which slide it is, like fairly early in the presentation. There's a slide that shows the map and also has the link. But you can also, again, just floodnet.nyc is our website and you can get to it that way as well. Yes. Dataviz.floodnet.nyc. Yeah, it's on the map and there's also a view of it for those of you who can see it.
There it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Chairperson Scalo with our last question.
Are these installations one and the same as those DEP has been reporting on, or are they separate and above?
DEP does report on these installations.
So they're the same installations?
Yes.
It's not like.
Well, actually, I should.
And DEP has their own?
No, we are doing this, you know, the DP is funding us to put these up. to develop the technology and install them. That was,
Got it. So they're the same sensors.
that's right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation, and we look forward to receiving the presentation and sending it to Borough Board and to hear more as you guys continue rolling out these sensors. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us and letting us present on this.
Of course. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is our public hearing. We have Prospect Park Alliance presenting on 4 capital projects. And so without further ado, Prospect Park.
All right, while we get the presentation loaded, my name's Rob Garcia. I'm a landscape architect with the Prospect Park Alliance. I'm here with my colleagues. So Anna Regulina, who's our Director of Landscape Architecture and Restoration, and David Yum, our Director of Architecture and Restoration. As mentioned, we're presenting 4 capital projects today, so we like to have all questions at the end of all the not in each presentation, but at the end, the total of all presentations, if we can just hold questions. Presentation we'll be presenting on is the Picnic House and Falkhill Path, which are located on the east side of the park. And then Wayfinding the Vale and Lincoln Road projects are located on the west side of the park, Picnic House and Falkhill Path, and Lincoln Road and Wayfinding on the east. Moving into the Lincoln Road Playground reconstruction, which is located at Ocean Avenue, Lincoln Road. Next. To start at the beginning of the project, we did a lot of outreach. We did 2 in-person tabling events and an online survey and a virtual event to gather information what people would like to see in the design. Next. From this, we learned that people wanted to see more climbing, more swings, and better water play for the children. Next. Here are some existing photos. The bucket swings will be repurposed in the new design, while the tire swings will be removed. We will be removing the existing play equipment made of steel and tropical hardwood. However, the tropical hardwood decking and the existing equipment will be salvaged and repurposed in the new design. The tree pit decking is also tropical hardwood, and that will be restored. And the existing frogs will be repurposed in the new water play. This is our schematic design. The proposed design as a new gathering area, a central tree-covered boardwalk, and separate play areas for older and younger age groups. The playground is organized around the theme Layers of a Forest to create engaging experiences inspired by the forest floor, understory, and canopy layers. Starting with the 5 to 12 play. This canopy layer, quote unquote, working our way down. The 5 to 12 play is located on the left side of the playground. As you see the play equipment, there will be a range of sensory and ground play to have engagement at the forest floor level, as well as belt swings, parkour climbers, and a tall tower to provide more adventurous experiences for those ready to engage with the understory and canopy layers. This is the accessible ramp structure, which will be a part of the 5 to 12 play area. And this allows a fully inclusive piece to engage a range of experiences. Here's a rendering showing an alley of trees, that middle alley that I talked about earlier. We will be repurposing the tropical hardwood for the decking, and it will separate the 5 to 12 play from the 2 to 5 play areas. Moving on to the 2 to 5 play area, which will have a sensory garden located to the left and the play equipment on the right side. This will feature wood and steel ramp slide structure, a standalone playhouse, and some fun ground level play. Equipment is expired by experience and challenges found at the lower forest levels. Here you see in the rendering the sensory garden area, which will have boulders and flagstone paving, as well as accessible raised garden beds, which will be available for interaction and learning. Central to the playground will be the water play. Here you see a part of that water play. The existing frogs will be reincorporated, and this is a area gauged or directed for 2 to 5 age play, which is away from some of the older kid and water play elements. At the south end of the playground, between the two entrances, we are introducing a new seating area. This will be great for large group gatherings and picnicking. Here's a rendering of the space showing the new trees and perimeter trees that will provide shade throughout the playground. This concludes the Lincoln Road schematic design, and we'll move into the Fallkill Path project. So this path is located just south of Dog Beach in the ravine woodland that connects along meadow ball fields to the northern lawn. Here you see a schematic plan showing safety and access improvements. There'll be new B9 lights installed along the path, corridor pulling from existing power sources. A new handrail will be installed along the steep portions towards Center Drive or the right side of the path. Wayfinding signage, which you'll see in the upcoming presentations, will be added to identify accessible and non-accessible paths, as well as portions of the pavement will be restored. As you can see, we're primarily using standard materials found elsewhere in the park. The wayfinding signage, again, we'll talk about in the upcoming presentation. The rendering showing the existing, and this is the steep slope looking up from Center Drive or towards, looking up with your back behind would be another melons of the restored path on the left, and then the existing view showing the handrails and the lighting. I would like to turn the presentation over to David, who will talk more about the picnic house.
All right, good evening. Next slide. Repairs to the picnics house are primarily to address urgent repair issues to keep the building in good shape. You see the existing picnic house here, and one of the largest repairs is really to the roof. It's difficult to see here, but we experience a good amount of leakage from the roof into the interior of the main multi-purpose space. And that's the most important repair that we'll address. Next slide. You can see here the decorative stone on the top of the chimney will be repaired, as well as some ornamental work around the windows, the wood window on the far right. And then we'll also be addressing some of the stonework on the staircase on the east side. Next slide. One of the large bay windows is mysteriously baying in, and it hasn't failed yet, but it probably leans in a good 6 to 8 inches. So that's something we're going to investigate, probably remove the window, find where the steel, we think the steel underneath the window is beginning to rust and expand. So we'll repair the wall and then reinsert the window after we're done. Next slide. Okay. On the far right, you can see some of the spalling from the leakage of the roof. The kitchenette, while we're doing this major work, the kitchenette will get some minor cosmetic repairs. It hasn't been repaired in a long time for our events. And then the lighting within the big multi-purpose space is very old. So we're going to upgrade the lighting as well. Next slide. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your attention today. This is the last presentation from the Prospect Park Alliance. Wayfinding in the Vale. This project is located in the Vale of Kashmir in the northeast corner of Prospect Park. The restoration of the Vale area will start this year, and we hope to fold in a signage system during that construction and as funds become available in the remainder of the park. Next. So we are undertaking a new signage system to advance the Prospect Park Alliance's mission, making the park a more welcoming destination. The goals include creating an accessible signage system that is flexible and also easy to maintain. The Prospect Park Alliance held online surveys and also met with accessibility consultants to develop this new system. Next. So as you can see here, the existing signage in the park spans many decades. It is not uniform or standardized, which makes it very difficult to recognize, to use, and to respect. Next. And this is the proposed system. It includes maps, directional arrows, stewardship signs, interpretive signs, placemaking banners, and also trail blazes. Next. At the Flatbush Avenue entrance to the Vale, we are proposing this freestanding post and panel sign, which will act as an information hub. The sign consists of a map panel on the left-hand side, stewardship information on the right, and event information below that. The two sides of the sign are angled back to reduce the visual footprint of the sign, as you can see in the top of the image. Graphics for the signage system, not just on this sign, but also other signs, will be printed on 3 different materials. All permanent information will be printed on aluminum. All semi-permanent information will be printed on something called HPL, which is a high-pressure laminate and is graffiti resistant. And the information that is meant to be more temporary, like event information, is printed on a thinner plastic called Sintra. Next. So while the New York City Parks rules and regulations signage is a sign that enforces behavior that you might have seen around parks, it's a big green sign. We're adding additional stewardship signs just beyond each entrance. This signage will have less text and information on it, and it will encourage the most common park practices, such as leashing a dog, disposing of trash, and respecting wildlife. Next. So at certain pathway intersections, we will also need location and stewardship reminders, such as this one. At the top of the post, the directional arrows are designed for far distance reading and will direct to a nearby destination. The arrows will show accessible routes and distances and routes to bathrooms. And at eye level, the local area maps will be displayed alongside more localized stewardship information. Next. These signs will all be set off of pavements in order to avoid conflicts with pedestrians or maintenance vehicles. Next. A number of smaller scale stewardship signs are also part of the system, and these will include area-specific reminders, again, protecting wildlife, leashing your dog, getting off your bicycle, etc. Next. We have a number of interpretive signs that are also proposed. These are meant to engage visitors about the rich history or ecology of the park. This information will be presented on HPL panels, which again are graffiti resistant. Next. Placemaking banners will be installed at strategic locations, mostly around the Loop Drive, sidewalks, and also at landmarks. They will serve to identify and prompt visitors of nearby destinations. Next. And in a very similar way, but located along pedestrian pathways, small-scale banners will be affixed to existing DOT light poles. And while we're not proposing trail markers in the Vale area of Prospect Park, we did want to include them in the system because they will be implemented later in other areas of the park. So this is the system that we're proposing. The system will be fabricated by a local vendor, and PPA's facilities team, Prospect Park Alliance's facilities team, will maintain it within the Vale and elsewhere when it gets installed in other areas of the park. Currently, the Alliance is fundraising for a park-wide rollout of additional signage, but in the meantime, this signage will be installed with each capital project as they become available. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Prospect Park Alliance on any of the 4 projects? Seeing none. Oh, Ms. Williams.
Hi, I'm Deborah Williams, and thank you. I was seeing on the Lincoln, okay, and the park, the children's park area, and I see that you had the play equipment steel tower with slides. Is there any other kind of material that you can use, like, you know, or it's already there?
So the
You know,
equipment,
because steel gets hot in the summertime.
so the steel tower is coated with it's heat resistant, like it's a coating that makes it less hot. And a lot of it's going to be net play. If we can go back, maybe, sorry. Probably. A couple more. Yeah,
Yeah.
one for it. Wow, there we go. The steel tower is mainly those steel posts, and then it'll have a net system inside to keep it cooler so that they're not touching steel on steel. Steel slides are our park standard. And then the rest of the equipment outside of the steel tower is Robinia. So it's wood based,
Okay. Thank you.
black locust.
Mr. Mohammed.
It looks beautiful, but one of the things that we're noticing in Community Board 5, as we talk about park and playgrounds, the rest areas, the relief areas. I'm seeing a lot of children. I'm hearing you talking about signage. I'm seeing about rides 2 to 5. But what about the bathrooms, the relief stations? How did that figure into the fact of this renovation? A safe area for people to use the bathroom.
So just outside the playground is the Lincoln Road restrooms. And so it's an existing bathroom, literally a 2-minute walk path that goes to this playground leads. It comes from the bathroom. So it's right next to a bathroom facility. We're not addressing that bathroom facility with this project. We're just addressing the playground.
Can you please remind me of your name? Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Deidre Chino for Councilmember Banks. Just quick question. With the rise of autism in our communities, were there any proposals or any conversation relating to sensory space for older children who have autism? I know you said that there would be some for the younger kids, but in that larger children's area, would there be any dedicated space, or is there thought potentially to be any dedicated space for older children with autism?
So sensory overwhelming, you're talking about children that need more of a sensory break, right? They need a part. So that's why we added the board. Maybe we can, sorry. Maybe I should have slowed down. Oh. I thought I had, here we go. Okay. So the boardwalk will form one of those spaces. Will be a tree covered boardwalk. So we'll provide that shaded in the middle of the playground, but as well as kind of a slower area where it's not an active play. So it has seats and it'll have new benches. So that will be a way for them to take refuge or to kind of take a break or be away from more of that active play. Also, the planter, we're seeing engaging from all age groups. And so, and then with that more of the sensory feel. So if they need a break, that space kind of is the dividing zone between older and younger. So it really is meant to incorporate not just older kids, but also, or sorry, not just younger kids, but also a place for older kids who have sensory issues. We're also installing ground level play panels, which is kind of hard to see here, but they'll also help with that sensory. So you don't have to run on the equipment above. You need a break. There's stuff at ground level to engage your senses.
Sure. Okay, still with the, this park, I saw a sandbox. They're gonna have the sandbox?
No.
Oh, okay.
No sandbox. So that's why we're installing the new sensory planter. So you still get that engagement of touching, feeling, that sort of thing.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you to Prospect Park Alliance for this presentation. We will not be having a vote today, but we will revisit it next month. And if there is a recommendation, we will let you know and provide you with the same. Are we ready for that? Oh, I'm sorry. I have misspoken. Is there a motion? Thank you. We have a motion from Chairperson Baptiste. Is there a second? Yep. Yes. Sorry. Is that a question or are you seconding or is there a discussion? Okay, we have an inquiry from Chairperson Caesar.
Yes, so I have an inquiry where, because this is Prospect Park Alliance, I remember this, I believe this is the community boards that border the park plus the Brooklyn council members. And so my question is, do we have enough quorum from those specific members to have this vote? That's my inquiry.
That's a very good question. And let us count. Clearly, I'm wholly unprepared, so I apologize. Two. Three. Looks like it. Give me a second, please. What? Sorry, we have a difference in numbers. So I have Sheila. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We do not have a quorum for this vote. We have a point of order with Chairperson Camacho.
Did this presentation go through each of those community boards and were there a recommendation in regards to yes, that they would want it there? And if that's the case, then maybe they shouldn't be a quorum here. They already want it. I guess some of the chairpersons that are here. And I don't know how that works in regards to them getting this. I don't know if each community board that's affected in the area made their presentation and agreed to these proposed recommendations. I guess I'm not too sure if they did or didn't. So I know there wasn't no quorum for it, but I don't think they should lose out on the proposal because the boards made their recommendation. They should have, if they are here or they made them already on committee, if they did or didn't, I don't know how not go forward with them getting this approved.
So just to be clear, just because there's no quorum today doesn't mean we can't revisit it next meeting. But essentially, we had quorum at the beginning and some folks have left. So that's what made us lose quorum on the vote.
Did you guys go to each community board and did your presentation in committee? And if they agreed or say yes on the full board, because the committee goes to the full board makes a recommendation, yes or no, or implement things, I'm not too sure how you guys did or didn't do it. Maybe
The
some
Prospect
clarification.
Park Alliance holds meetings as part of the community committee, what's called the community committee, which we had last 30 days ago, basically. And community board 9, 14, 7, 6, and 8 all attended. And those are the community boards that border the park.
Thank you.
But were there a recommendation for them to, you don't, you?
They
no?
were in support of all the projects.
Probably.
Thank you. And we have the chairpersons here who would have raised it if they had a question. So unfortunately, we can't do a vote today, but we can do one next month. And we do apologize, but we have been working as a borough board on our attendance and we'll continue to work. It is now 7:33. Oh. Point. Okay, is there consensus for a roll call? Okay, will do.
I'll start with the council members.
We're not voting, we're making a roll call for attendance.
District 33, Ressler. District 34, Gutierrez. District 35, Hudson. District 36, Osei. District 37, Nurse. District 38, Aviles. District 39, Hanif.
You're here.
Roll call. District 40, Joseph. District 41, Neely. District 42, Banks. District 43, Zwang. at. 33rd isn't in QC.
Oh.
We could probably adjust it. District 45, Louis. District 46, Narcisse. District 47, Branham. District 48, Kornikov. District 50, Carr. For our president's office is represented at this table. Okay. Community Board. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 14.
So we have a correction because Jaeger seat is vacant and we adjusted the numbers. We have enough for a vote. That was our only saving grace, having one less council member. So is there a motion for a recommendation on the 4 capital projects for Prospect Park Alliance? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you. Matthew. So we're going to do another roll call. This is for a vote this time. So it's going to be yes if you support the recommendation for the 4 projects, no if you don't, and abstention if you want to get on my nerves. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Starting with Council District 33, Council District 34. Oh, so it begins. Okay. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Thank you. 40, 41. Thank you. 42. Thank you. 43. Sure. 48. 50. You guys are killing me. Borough President votes yes. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Community Board 8. Thank you. Community Board 9. Thank you. Community Board 14. Thank you. All right, going back to the council members. $43. 50. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the vote is 8 yeses, 0 objections, and 3 abstentions. So the vote carries. Okay. That concludes our public hearing for today. Oh. Sure.
Presentation.
Yes. We'll send the presentation to the Borough Board members. Okay. We're going to move on to other business. We still have our expiration of open meetings law, the hybrid provision on our agenda as requested. Are there any discussion on that item? Nope. Okay, moving on to our, okay, Chairperson Caesar. Got to be quick with the hands because once I look down, I can't see it. Chairperson Caesar on hybrid provision. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, the only question I have is just confirming if the sunset date, I believe, which is 2026, excuse me, if that still holds true, like if that hasn't changed as far as we know.
As of right now, I believe it hasn't changed. What happened last year was when the budget was passed, it was kind of slipped in there. So we're still looking out to see if there's anything, but I don't think it would change this year. It might change next year.
Okay, got it. Cool. That's the only thing. Thank you.
Okay. And so for our Borough Board Bylaws Committee, we will ask our committee chairperson, Chair Baptiste, to give us an update.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to give a couple of acknowledgements. I want to thank all of the members of the committee. We had a phone call last week. It was very productive. I think we've already started identifying some areas in terms of things we want to some changes potentially we might want to introduce to the for revisions, amendments to the bylaws. So I would open the floor as well. So if there are any chairs or any council members who wish to, if they have suggestions, to please forward that to the chair. So that way we can collect those and we can discuss those as part of our next meeting, which we hope to schedule very shortly as well. So the intent is to hopefully have something in front of the Borough Board by May, so we can hopefully adopt within the next month or two. So again, I think there were copies of the bylaws that were distributed. Please look those over. We're looking at all those. I think that, most of us have been here long enough to kind of know that there's some things that we probably want to do in terms of tweaking and fine tuning. So we just want to make sure that we're able to address those and improve the bylaws as such. I again wanted to thank all of the chairs and the members of the committee. And I want to extend my thanks as well to the general counsel and also to the director of community boards for their assistance and all their help in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Do we have a motion? So move. Do we have a second? Oh, whoa, oh, okay. Thank you.